I'm going to go ahead and hit go. All right. So whenever you're ready, let's do that thing.
All right.
Go for it.
Hey. Okay.
It's all good.
Okay. Hey, it's Jennifer Sontag, dual citizen and founder of Italian Citizenship Concierge. You are joining me and Jeff from Vroom, vroom, brah, 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 vroom your way to Italy with us today.
Well done. Vroom, vroom, Veer. What? Good enough.
Vroom, vroom, Veer.
It's all good. All right. I'm going to hit stop. I'll be right back. That was perfect.
Are you ready to thoughtfully steer away from your revved up, frenzied, and far too often scripted life? Then welcome to Vroom Vroom Veer with Jeff Smith, where he guides you down the road differently traveled by sharing unique experiences with guests who have managed to shift away from a life stuck on cruise control and veered their way into a more authentic and fulfilling one in all sorts of interesting and kind of remarkable ways. Get ready to Vroom Vroom Veer with your differently traveled road chauffeur, Jeff Smith.
Chrissy Trotter, thank you so much for being on Vroom Vroom Veer and welcome to the show. How's it going?
It's going great, Jeff. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yeah, and I appreciate you being here, even though, you got some DI or some home improvement going on. We'll just make it part of the show. It'll be great. Podcasting is all about just come as you are. That's what I love about it, so that's okay. It's all good.
I warned the guys if they want to be in a podcast, they can walk by, but otherwise, stay.
Well, if they have to come ask you questions, they're definitely in the show. That's okay. It's all good. Yeah. We can edit as necessary. Okay. So you are Chrissy Trotter again, and you are at Destined Globetrotter. I love that. That's pretty cool. .com. So talk a little bit about what you're most excited about in your business today.
Yeah, well, first of all, Jeff, I don't know if you caught the play on words. So my last name actually is Trotter.
Right.
I'm a guy with the last name Trotter. So it kind of fits that I was destined to be a globetrotter. Plus, right. I travel as evidenced by my map in the background. But yes, so for Destined Globetrotter, there's kind of two sides to my business. One is I do travel content creation. So I do writing about road trips, U.S. national parks, domestic and international. And the website is really starting to take off. So that has been, it's a slow process.
It's a lot of work.
And I'm starting to see the fruit of that work, which is really nice. I've had to learn so many skills, and that's
Tell
exciting.
Me about it.
Yeah. And then the other thing is back in January, I got my travel certification. And one of the things I do is plan custom trips for clients. And so that's really fun because one, it's a great source of content for the website. And two, it's just fun to get out to talk to people and make their dreams come true. I've always been a big believer in bucket list travel, and I've gotten to plan some really fun and very different trips for people. So that's pretty cool.
That sounds awesome. That sounds like a blast. So do you go with the people that you book or like?
No.
Okay. So you just set it up.
Yeah, I have thought about that. That's something that I'd like to do in the future, but that's probably a couple years away. One of the things I'd really like to do is I have a personal goal to get to Antarctica before 50.
Oh my goodness. That's a challenge.
Yeah, it is.
It's hugely challenging. Yeah. But you can do it. I mean, you can do anything you want, right? But
yeah, I'm 4 years away from that, and I actually may push it up because I'm ready to do it.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, so that would be a fun one to do with people too. So,
yeah.
So in the future,
I think you kind of have to do that one with people.
Yeah.
I think you want to do that with people. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the troubles with the travel advising, though, is it causes me to want to go even more places and do things that I've done before, but do them a different way. And it's also inspired purchases. I'll move my screen real quick and show you. I've got this beautiful Venetian glass chandelier that someone was reselling on a page, and I was working on a client trip to Italy, and I was planning trips for them to go over to Murano and see Murano glass and stuff. And then I just happened to see one online, and
Had to have it.
Yeah. I need to rein that in a little bit.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with a little retail therapy every once in a while.
True.
It feels awesome.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you weren't always, travel advisor and, right, or a content creator. So this is Vroom Vroom Veer. So that means we have to go back in time and talk about your life before. So where did you grow up?
Well, so I understand that you're a military guy, you're an Air Force guy. And my dad was Air Force 30 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, retired full bird colonel. And
Nice.
so I was born on Andrews Air Force Base. And
DC area, right?
Yeah, that's where where Air Force One is at. And so my dad worked. He worked there, and then my mom also worked there in the what they call the DV lounge, or the Distinguished Visitors Lounge. And so she got
been in a couple DV lounges.
Yeah,
not because I was a DV, just because maybe I was working there.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is actually this was kind of a fun fact. So I don't remember, it was a week or 2 weeks before Anwar Sadat was assassinated. He came to the United States, and I was there with my dad to see him, and I was on his shoulders, and he handed me an Egyptian flag.
Oh, wow.
And then that started a flag collection for me, and really, probably was a good start to my love of travel.
Wow,
so I
that's
was so
neat.
curious about it. Yeah. And then, So I started there, and then my dad was transferred to Wright Pat in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, right.
Yeah. And so we were there for 4 years.
Air Force Museum.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I don't think I went to didn't go to Wright Pat, but I went to the Air Force Museum.
It's fabulous. Yeah.
It's really
good.
great.
Really, really good. And that was a great place to live. And then we moved to San Antonio. And that's where my dad ended up. He was with the Air Intelligence Agency.
Me too. Oh, wow. So,
really?
At Kelly Air Force
Yeah.
Base. Yeah. Neat, huh?
You know Colonel Hegel?
Colonel Hegel. Wow. No, I don't know, but it's a very small world, so that's weird. I know a lot of colonels.
Yeah.
In
so
AIA, so he was intel then.
Yeah, he was.
So was he a SIGINTer like from the beginning, or did he?
No.
Never mind. Never mind. I'll leave that alone. Yeah. Right. That's going to get me in trouble.
But he did that, and then he retired. I don't know, sometime in the mid-90s, and finished up high school there. Interestingly, I met my future husband in high school there, and he's an Army brat.
Oh, wow. That's cool. That makes sense, because you kind of have like similar backgrounds, right?
Yeah.
It's like you're another weirdo like me.
Right. Well, and in San Antonio, there's a large military population, but there's also a lot of people that were born and raised there their whole life. Right. Where we were, we just, there were, I don't know, it was hard to get into the school, be part of the school, because a lot of these kids had grown up together. So we were kind of outliers, and anyways, it worked out well. And a lot of my closest friends are actually people that I met there in high school and then college. And so
San Antonio is awesome, by the way.
It is.
I love San Antonio. I mean, I was there like only a little bit. So let me give you my San Antonio breakdown. So obviously I went to Lackland for basic and saw absolutely nothing. So, even like enlisted people, so enlisted guy, we're supposed to be able to get out. There's this day, I can't remember what they called it. Anyway, there's like a freedom day, right? Where you get to wear your blues and hang out and maybe go to a Spurs game, and you get like a flavor of San Antonio. And it's just a screw off day that they give for all the basic trainees. I didn't get to go.
Oh, no.
Because I had screwed up.
That's not good.
Well, it is what it is. I'll wear it as a badge of honor. So
Yeah.
then later on, I got like a week's vacation that was all expense paid because I won some sort of work award.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It was neat.
Very cool.
It was very cool. So I got like, it felt like being a celebrity. Like
Yeah.
I was just busting around all week wearing like either a combination of blues or civilian clothes, getting wined and dined for a week in San Antonio. That was a blast.
Yeah.
So that was like payback for me screwing up earlier. Maybe.
That's great. It's a great town. It was a really nice place to grow up, but it was also, at the time, it was one of those things like you wanted to get out of there.
Right.
But now, now as an adult with kids and stuff, we've talked about going back there and moving.
I really love the river walk. I have to get that in there.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
And I would say it's like a drink friendly place.
It is.
It's
yeah.
a walk friendly place. Like you can get an Airbnb or a hotel and then drink as much as you want and walk back and you're good.
Right.
You don't even need an Uber.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, the pandemic certainly helped with that too. There weren't very high restrictions to begin with.
Right.
And you can definitely do that anywhere in Texas.
Yeah.
So all of our dry counties and everything, everyone's like, no, we need a drink for this.
Amen. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. So you finish high school and are you still in Texas when you graduate?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah. So I live in Dallas. So I slowly made the up 35, Highway 35. Right. So my husband and I both ended up going to UT. We'd already both independently, because this was before we were dating or anything, but we both were going to the business school at the University of Texas at Austin. And we had 4 awesome years there.
Austin's great. I haven't been, but Austin's
it's amazing. It's unfortunately everybody knows about it now. So right. Some people think it's really cool, but I think if you were there 20 years ago, it was even more cool just because it was a hidden secret,
Yeah. It's not hidden anymore. Right.
No, and we've always had a traffic problem and it is really bad now. So, and at the time I actually got a degree in management information systems and I was, and so I went to work for IBM. And at the time, if you were going to do consulting or anything like that, like Austin was deep IT at the time. And I didn't want to be deep IT. I wanted to be like the business side of it. And so there were 2 options, Dallas and Houston. And I didn't want to go to Houston. So I went to Dallas.
What's wrong with Houston? Hey, Houston is super muggy. I don't know.
Dallasites call it the armpit of Texas, but I know I shouldn't say that because I have a lot of friends that are in Houston, and it actually is a wonderful city.
Right, right. So it just had a bad rep.
On me for that. Just a saying.
I get it. Well, they did get hit by a really bad hurricane not too long ago, but that's anywhere in Texas. Right.
Yeah.
You are on the Gulf Coast. Okay. Yeah. So you end up with a MIS degree and you get a job in Dallas with IBM. So what are you doing at IBM?
Well, one of my first projects, I was supposed to be a programmer. And you know how you get in college and you're like, so I didn't even think this is one of my Veers, I guess.
Yeah.
You get in college and at some point you're committed and you're like, I'm going to get this degree because I started with it. And
totally.
I don't want to like reshuffle or whatever.
Let's just finish this and then we'll figure out the next thing.
Yeah, let's just get it done. Fortunately, my very first project was with American Airlines, and they, to this day, are one of my favorite clients. And it was so much fun. And I was able to do things that were related to like business process and more strategic sort of thinking. And I fell in with this group in IBM that was a strategy and change group. And
okay.
Yeah. And it was great. And they took me under their wings, and they usually didn't hire undergrad. It was MBAs and above, but we hit it off, and and I loved it. So it was nice. It was a small group within IBM that focused on travel and transportation clients. So
wow, that's kind of perfect for you.
yeah, it was. And I made myself a subject matter expert in airlines, and specifically like operations and then customer experience. So how to make the airport, within the airline that I was working with, whichever it might be, how do you get a customer through faster? How do you improve their experience? And
Okay.
yeah, and I absolutely loved it. It was great because not only sometimes I was at headquarters, sometimes I was in the field doing things, and it was right up my alley.
So sounds like not being a programmer either. So that's good, right?
Yeah, so that year was a good thing, and I just I was so into all the stuff. I have an unusual amount of knowledge about how baggage goes through an airport, and
very super specific, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure most people care about that, but I loved it. I loved everything.
Don't know. I'm always curious about how things work behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like if you're walking around Disneyland or something and you see those secret doors where the employees go. I always want to go behind the scenes, right?
I know. I'm
always. I don't want to do anything. I just want to run around and look at people. Oh, look, it's an Oompa Loompa.
I know. I'm the same way. I have my father-in-law lives in Jonesboro, Arkansas, and they grow a bunch of rice there. That's like one of the biggest places that they grow rice in the U.S.
Okay.
Didn't know that.
Didn't know that either. Just learned.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Before I went, I sent a note to a rice company and I was like, "Can I just come and see? Can you give me a tour?" They never responded. They must have thought I was
crazy.
I wasn't serious, but I was serious. I love that. Stuff,
well, I did a bunch of temp jobs while I was screwing around after I retired. So I retired and then I did like some time doing school. So I was just like you. In my college degree, I got about like almost done and went like, okay, well now I have a psychology degree and I learned I don't want to be a psychologist.
Right.
I think most people do that, or well, maybe not most, but a lot of people find that out. But one of the things that I did as a temp job is I did like a migration, a PC migration at LAX. So there was like almost, I want to say upwards of 1,000 or ish PCs going from 7 to 10. No, not that. The XP to 7 migration. Right. But so that's boring, but I got to go behind the scenes. Right.
Yeah.
So not only like in the terminal, we spent very little time in the terminal. Turns out the only people in the terminal that work for the airport is the janitorial staff. So they don't have many computers for them.
Oh,
but there's a ton of other employees in it all. There's like this city that is LAX that's separate from LA.
I worked at the LAX airport.
Oh, really?
They were opening up a new terminal.
Did you work for LAWA?
I did work for LAWA.
That's great.
Conscription was out there, and it was fascinating. So if you ever go back, I've got a good taco shop down the street that I found. Let me know.
The strangest thing that happened to me, remember we talked about the DV suite? I think my time in the Air Force sort of like unconsciously programmed me to be okay around colonels and generals. Like how to just be like professional and smart seeming and don't talk too much. Because they're really busy and they don't give a shit about what's going on in your life, right?
They got stuff to do.
They're busy. They're just busy. Right. So if they ask you a question, answer short. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. Got it. Right. Right. Anyway, so they made me do all the DV stuff in the LAWA suite. Yeah. So I was the C-suite guy. They're like, this guy can handle that. He's not going to get us in trouble.
Right. That's great. There's places to be for sure.
It's not like I got paid extra, It's just a temp job, but it was interesting. It's just like they see stuff. It's like, okay, this guy is not going to get me in trouble saying something stupid in front of that guy. Right.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So let's move on from me and my crap. So this IBM job sounds like it was kind of fun. So,
it was great.
Yeah. How long does this last?
Actually 15 years. So
That's a long job.
It was, with the caveat, I am a big believer in sabbaticals, because
Nice.
you want to talk about vrooming and veering. I'm kind of like, when I get into the zone with working, I work a lot and I have a hard time shutting off my brain.
Understood.
And
Yes.
sometimes there's been, a couple times in my life where I've just had to kind of tap the brakes and say, like, this is too much. It's going too far.
Gotcha.
So one of those things, after college, my husband and I and a couple of friends, we did a 3-month trip around Europe and we backpacked.
Oh, wow.
And
That sounds
absolutely
fun.
loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we went to Western Europe. We did like 9 countries, had a Eurail pass. It
Right.
was
That is a blast.
then from that, I told my husband, who, again, we still aren't married at this point, but we dated for 10 years before we got married. But
That's a good idea.
I think it is.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I would say the first 5 years, my first 5 years of my marriage were really rocky.
Yeah.
Because it's like you discover things about each other as you go, right?
So true. Yeah. And people used to always say, like, why hasn't he asked? Like, you should be worried. And I'm like, I don't want him to ask. Like, we are, like,
let's just don't ruin it. Don't ruin it.
Good.
It happens all the time. Like there's like these unasked, unanswered questions in relationships. And as soon as you ask, it's like over. It's like, that's a showstopper for me. Okay, we're done. It's like, oh, I wish I would have known that before we got married. Right.
Well, yeah. So the other thing too is, so we took that trip. That kind of made me decide that I wanted to travel more. Like, I wanted to do a bigger backpacking trip around the world.
Right.
So when we started working, we made sure that, like, that was a priority, that we were going to save money. We wanted to not only contribute to retirement, but we also wanted to contribute to this trip. And then we wanted to be able to come back and have enough money for a down payment for a house. So that's obviously a lot of things. So it took us several years to save that money, but that was what we were both working towards, and we were just keeping our expenses largely at a minimum.
That's good.
Yeah. But then we decided to, we were ready. We had enough money, and we were thinking about, we got married, which was great. And then we decided, like, after that, we'll work like another year, and then let's take a break and let's, do this round the world trip.
Okay.
So that's what we did. We,
Did you get one of those, like, what do they call that? Those tickets that go around the world?
Yes. And it's another reason why I love American Airlines, because while I was very astute and good, I thought I was pretty good at putting together a ticket, I could not make it work. And so, and we were actually doing it on miles, because both he and I were working in different cities, coming back home on the weekends.
Okay.
And so we...
and you were keeping all your miles? Wow.
Yeah. So we started to book a trip on miles, and I couldn't make the whole ticket work. You can do up to 16 to 20 segments. And so, but I couldn't get it to work. And so I just decided to do point to point. So our very first ticket was to go to Peru, to Machu Picchu. And so
I still want to go there.
It's awesome. It's awesome. But yeah,
did you take that train?
Yes, we did do that. I wanted to do the hike, but you can't do that until you have to plan for that in advance.
Right,
and
right. There's more clearance, right?
Yeah, because they limit the people on there for good reason. Yeah. But so we did the train. Yeah, but anyways, I got a call from American Airlines one day because they see all these tickets on hold, and this lady's like, "Hi, I'm from the Advantage desk. What are you trying to do?" So I told her the whole thing, and
and she did it for you, right?
She not only did she help me with that, she took over our reservation for the entire year that we were gone.
Oh wow!
And because after we got it all planned, I said, just out of curiosity, like, what's the point difference between, like, to go up to business class? And it was only 40,000 points per person more.
Okay.
So we booked a ticket in business class for around the world, but there were a lot of segments that we couldn't get business class. We were in the back, but she said, I'll just keep checking while you're gone. And so she checked every day for us, and we'd
That's
get up.
amazing.
It was amazing.
Wow.
And yeah. So anyway, yeah. A lot of people rag on American Airlines. I got nothing bad to say. I've always had a great experience with them.
You must have had 1,000,000 points.
We had,
Combined.
my husband's a million miler, and I'm very close, but I'm not, because I worked so long for American Airlines that I didn't get, they didn't give me the points and the credit.
Oh, because your employees
I would,
don't get them. Oh,
yeah, I'd very much be over 1,000,000 miles, but
wow.
Yes.
Technicalities.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
What a bummer.
I got free tickets, but I didn't get any. Yeah, I didn't get the credit. So.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about where you went, because it sounds like, I mean, obviously you went around the world, but you can't go everywhere.
Yes. So
just give us some highlights. Yeah.
We took a map, a paper map.
Okay.
And because we were trying to figure out how to do this. And we looked at it and we were like,
and you're starting where? You're still in Dallas?
It was from Dallas.
Okay.
Yep. So we did like 3 months in South America, 3 months in Asia, blah, blah, blah. We had 2 rules. The first was that it couldn't be over $100 a day. So that knocked out, most first world countries.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And then the second one was we didn't want to go places where we would go probably on their own. So like if it was a trip, we knew that we would go to this place.
So you're not going to Rome and Paris, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So those were the 2 guys.
This is sort of like a backpacky kind of flavor.
It was definitely a backpacky kind of trip.
Okay.
And so anyway, so we ended up, kind of putting how many months we were going to do each continent. And then we took the map, ripped it in half. My husband took the right side. I took the left side. And he planned everything on the right. I planned everything on the left. And so we didn't know what we were doing on the other side of the map that we weren't planning. So,
okay. That's fun.
It was fun, but it was also necessary because it was like otherwise too overwhelming.
Right.
And a lot of people say like, you should, it's more fun just to go around, which we did. As soon as you get going, you meet other backpackers and hostels, and you change around your itinerary and stuff.
Right.
But I'm one of the people like, I want to know what's there so that I don't miss what's there while I'm there. So
totally.
I do the research, and then then I know if something better comes up, that I'm going to switch around. So 23 countries we did. Peru, Brazil, Argentina, Chile. We did a 10-day safari in Kenya and Tanzania, up to Egypt. We did Malaysia, Singapore,
You're hitting
Vietnam,
some good spots.
Laos, Thailand. And then we went over, I'm trying to think. We did end up in Australia because when we were in Vietnam, we met some good friends that were still friends to this day. They actually just came to visit us. And so they got engaged while we were on the trip, and we went to visit them then. And then we went back for their wedding.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. And
Where'd you go in Australia?
We did, they live in Perth. So we did Sydney and Perth on that trip, and then we've since been to Melbourne. So, and then we did China, Mongolia, and Russia. We did the Trans-Mongolian, and we did Georgia and Armenia. And I'm sure I'm forgetting other countries, but
right.
Those were the highlights. So
my goodness.
It was crazy, but you talk about like, you go from my husband and I were not with each other during the week to being together 24/7. So
that's a transition.
That's a transition, but it, and
so how did you work that out? Talk. Did you stress out about it, or did it just sort of like naturally, organically? Because you kind of have to figure out ways to give each other space, I would imagine.
For sure.
Otherwise, you're going to murder each other.
Right. The main thing is just logistics when we were traveling. And we have 2 kind of different approaches to things. So, he is very much like, whatever, let's take the easiest path. If it's more expensive, that's okay, to beat the frustration of
spend a little money to save a little stress.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I'm very much the opposite. Like if we're not, haggling, I didn't want to be treated different as a tourist, and I don't want to screw it up for the people behind me that are traveling. So,
Okay.
I'm going to get in there and I'm going to haggle and stuff. Like when we were in India, I forgot to mention India. When we went to India for 6 weeks, and like you get in these tuk-tuks, and you have to negotiate the price and stuff, and I would get into these heated things with the driver or whatever, and then you settle the price, and then
Yeah.
everybody spends, and it's fine.
Right.
And so, anyways, my husband looked at me one time and he goes, "I just want you to know that we spent 5 minutes arguing over 10 cents." I was like, it's the point.
But you had fun in those 5
Yeah,
minutes.
and I did. Yeah, and the guy was fine too. We were both just like laughing, and I don't. At the end, it's
Right.
serious at first, and then it's like whatever, And
It's totally not worth it, but it's worth it.
yeah.
It's not about the money.
Right. I get a kick out of all that stuff. I love going to markets, and
You and my wife would get along.
yeah.
Because I'm your husband and you're my wife.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
All right. I'm like, really? A dime?
Yeah. Who cares?
But the thing is I don't want to take away her joy. I learned that. Right.
Right.
If
Right.
she wants to do that, and what's 5 minutes? What's a dime? I don't want to
Right.
take away her joy.
Okay, so what ultimately ended up happening on that is we just decided on logistics day, we took turns, and
Okay.
if it was my day, he didn't say anything, and I handled everything. It's also really stressful that day because people had cell phones, we had cell phones, but we didn't bring them. It wasn't because it was so expensive to call and do
Right.
things at the time. This was
Sure.
2006, 2007.
Right.
So we literally would just show up somewhere on a bus or whatever, and have to walk around to guest houses or whatever and talk to people.
Right.
And so that is stressful. And so it gave the other person a break. And then we also weren't like getting mad at each other. So that's how we
Like a
settled
little
that.
like division of labor.
Right. And then otherwise, everything else was fine. It fell into place. So
Yeah, my wife, like when she does all the travel arranging. So she went to school in Japan. So she's from Japan, still has a Japanese passport. So we have to travel at least to Japan. Right. Yeah. But so she really, really digs on having that, bop agenda, bing bop, the whole trip. Right. She's okay with, changing it, just like what you said. Right. She's like, she has to have that plan or she can't go. Right now, the plan is never going to be 100%, check. That never, ever happens. But at least you have it,
I don't even look at it once I get to a place. I just, it's like, if there's things I want to do, it's like, okay, well, we're going to do that here, there, whatever. And I kind of think about the time. And if it's something that doesn't really matter when you go, I just make sure we do it while we're there.
Right. Yeah.
But
yeah, we had to adjust because she was very like enamored with Japanese bus trips. So they're great.
I'm sure they are.
I love them, but Japanese people are a lot shorter than me. No offense, Japanese people.
Yeah. Well, so Japan is.
Yeah, they don't build those buses for American legs. So
true. Yeah.
I'm okay with it, but I'm like, it's okay, but let's not make it like multi-day bus trips.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Well, Japan is definitely on my list. I've never been. And at the time, that was one of those places that
would be first world country. It's expensive. Yeah.
Yeah. It would be first world plus. I knew
so big too. Yeah.
It's now that it's opened back up. I'm hoping to go in the next year or two for sure.
Right. So. Keep your eye on the Japan Rail Pass because there's mucho controversy about. I don't know how it would affect you, but I think my wife is pretty mad because the price is going up. It's been like forever cheap, super cheap, right? And now they're trying to make it like a lot less cheap. Right. So,
Probably
but
just for me to get there.
yeah. I mean, it's still a good deal,
Mm-hmm.
but once you get used to a price, then that's kind of like, and it hasn't gone up ever. So,
Right. Right.
but anyway, yeah. So, okay. Wow. So that's a year.
That was a year. It
That
was,
was a year.
July 6th to July 6th. So a year and a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
My goodness. So did you go back to work?
I did. I was
Okay.
really lucky. My boss had let me take a leave of absence.
My goodness. That's
And
amazing.
as it got to the end of it, we wanted to keep going. And
Right.
but I was too afraid to ask. But it was funny because then I reached out and said, okay, so I don't remember. It was like I'm a month away, and he's like, really? It's been a year already? And I'm like, I shouldn't have said anything.
Right.
But yeah, no, it was great. I was very, very fortunate to have such a supporting management team. So
Wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So I went back. Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were going to say you went back to work.
I went back to work, and I was there for another, I don't know, 5 years or so.
Okay.
And my husband and I had fertility issues, one of which being we weren't in the same place, which was a big one.
That's an issue. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, there were other things. So I ended up getting off the road, and so did he. And he actually, after that trip, came and was working locally, and I was still traveling. And then I ended up taking a role in sales at IBM, and I was the customer relationship manager between IBM and Southwest Airlines. So I was on site at Southwest for a couple of years, and basically any issue that they had with IBM came to me, or if we were trying to sell something to them, I would be the person to make introductions, connections, things like that.
Okay.
And it was such a great opportunity, obviously, for me, to be locally and stuff. But sales is not actively selling is not one of the things I enjoy. The way that I can sell things is through the way I deliver things.
Okay.
And so I was at the mercy of other people delivering things, and it was stressful for me.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah, but irrespective, I was able to get pregnant, and my plan was just to take maternity leave and come back, which I did. And then I realized I just couldn't shut off my brain again. And, I'm thinking, when, I don't know if you have any children, but when you first have kids, you're trying to figure out like a lot of things. And it's a constant struggle of guilt. Like, if you're doing work, you're like, I'm not giving my kid enough attention and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So
I went back. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's really tough. Right. And so I did that for a few months, and I just didn't feel like I was giving anybody the best of me. So
makes sense.
And so I veered again, and I went in and I tried to tender my resignation, and I talked to my second line manager, and she said, "Would you come back?" And I said, yeah, but I said, I really don't know how long this is going to take. She offered me a 3-year leave of absence, which was hugely generous.
Wow.
And so I took the leave of absence again. And then within a year, the whole management chain had changed.
Okay.
And they were going through a reduction in force. And so I got riffed,
wow.
which worked great because I got a compensation package.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I was going to quit before, if you recall.
I do. Yeah.
So no complaints there. And yeah, it all worked out. And so this was supposed to be a temporary plan. It was supposed to be a couple of years. And it turned into longer than that. We had our second child in 2015. So we've got a girl and a boy now.
Wow.
Girl that's almost 11, Harper, and then our son Oliver is almost 8.
Nice.
Yeah. And, and between just raising them and then COVID and stuff like that, that's, that was a good, they're now getting to the age where, I felt like
they're a little bit more on autopilot, They can take care of themselves. Yes.
Right. And so, and you have these different identity things as you get older and you go through different stuff. And as much as I love identifying as a mom and stuff, I don't, there's a whole career side of me that there's a whole, like all my friends that are new since we've had kids, you end up having a lot of parent friends, and it's like, nobody knows the Chrissy that I still identify as,
right.
As this career woman.
They're just mom Chrissy. They only know one piece of Chrissy, right?
Right. And not that, not that you have to prove anything to anyone or whatever, but anyway.
I get it. Yeah.
It was just sort of an identity crisis. And so I started during, I actually decided, it was less than a month before COVID came to the US that I was like, I'm doing this. I'm doing the website. And, I met a I hadn't seen for a while at Starbucks. We just ran into each other and she's like, what's going on with the travel stuff? Are you going to do something or what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm totally doing it. And then I took it as a sign of the universe when we were grounded, March 13th.
Right. It's like, okay, I guess I should do that now.
Well, I was like, I think I misread the universe. But
really?
Yeah.
Okay, so I get it. You don't get to travel. Right.
I was like, I got to go through a little bit of mourning first, but shortly thereafter, it was a good time, obviously, and so that's when I started working on the website. So
but there was a lot of people surging to buy a camper. Yes. And camping gear during lockdown.
That is true. And I did, right. I did write up some articles for that. And I do have some great articles on my site about that.
Right. It was during lockdown that I started sniffing around like what do they call that? Like the van life people and the people like camping. And so my wife and we used to have an RV. We bought an RV while I was still active duty, and we only kept it for a little while. I learned that I really like camping, but I don't need an RV. Because an RV just costs a lot of money.
You're not making any money by having one. That's for sure.
No, not at all. Well, I think, if you like don't have a house, you could probably make it work. Right. If the RV is literally where you live all the time and, you're not paying like extra storage in 8 different cities, that could work. It could work. Right. But I mean, I don't need it is my point, was like, I'm happy in a tent. The whole point is like being outside, right? So taking a house with me with all my crap, I don't need it, right? And it turns out my wife would just rather be in a hotel.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's fair too. Yeah.
It's
funny. We've found that we are, so we did that backpacking trip around the world. We had just a backpack under 25 pounds and
nice.
And that's what we used for a year. The same clothes, we washed all of our stuff in the.
If you get the right stuff, it works.
Yeah, good gear is the key. But when we camp, we've found we are maximalists and everything. So
you want to glamp.
Yeah. We actually, it's funny. So we've had our camper. I think we got it in 2017 or something.
But you have like a van camper, right? Is that what do you have?
We have a trailer, and it's a hybrid trailer. So it's
neat.
hard sides, and then I also, like you, I like I like to hear the sounds and to feel like I'm camping when I'm camping.
Okay.
So the sides pop out and they're canvas. So we
like a StarCraft pop-up kind of deal.
Yeah, kind of, except it does have hard sides on and then the 2 ends pop out into canvas. So
I like it.
Yeah, so it's nice. It's a nice mix of
tent / not on the ground.
Yeah.
That's perfect. Yeah. And whatever works for you.
Exactly. Yeah. That was one thing we learned during the pandemic, that apparently we're kind of pandemic proof in some ways. Like we already had a chest freezer full of food.
Nice.
We had our camper.
Right. Okay.
We had bought at Costco one of those heated seat bidet things. So,
wow.
out of toilet paper, we were in good shape.
That's funny. I actually bought a bidet during lockdown.
Did you?
Yeah. There's this company, I can't remember, Omigo, and they build like this little bidet. It costs like $60. I paid somebody to install it for me because I'm really bad with plumbing. That cost $60.
Well, that was good. You got a good deal on that because we a lot more on the plumbing. So
this is super simple and it's not heated. So that's the key, right? So if it were heated, it would cost way more money.
That was the key. We had electricity.
You got to have the electricity or you could plumb from the hot water. That I didn't want to do either. So mine is just super simple. I live in Vegas. The water's literally never cold.
Right.
I don't need the heat. It's already, it's passively hot. I mean, it's literally like the cold water is hot during the summer, so it's like, that would just be a waste.
It's funny because I had never really experienced that. And then my husband has a bunch of family that's in South Dakota. They live close to Mount Rushmore and they've got so much geologic activity that yeah. And so, it's funny. You sit on the toilet and all of a sudden like the heat, rises. And I was like, what is going on?
Wow.
It's got this sulfuric smell and stuff.
Oh, wow.
It was kind of great.
Where is that? You said South
Dakota. So they're
near Mount Rushmore. That's volcanically active, huh?
Yeah.
Now I need to go.
Yeah.
So that's huge in Japan. Like Japan is like volcanic islands, right?
Right.
So like everything about their culture and their myth is all tied to geothermal, volcano, sulfur smell. It's like magic for them. Yeah. So they, when they go like on vacation and they go to like hot spring baths and stuff, they want to go up to those steaming yellow like vents and like put that stink on them. That's like magical. And I'm like, I went along with it. I'm like, wow, this really reeks. Okay, let's do it.
It was great. Let's get out of here.
Yeah. But okay. So that means I have to put like South Dakota on the list because my wife will love that.
Oh, it's really cool.
Yeah. So the thing I was going to bring up is we discovered during lockdown that people are living and camping full time in a Prius.
Oh, you said you were going to go on a trip.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to do a whole hell of a lot of camping in a Prius.
Yeah.
I don't think, but we can.
Yeah.
Right. So we'll bring the tent, right? We'll bring
Does it have
all
a
the
special
gear.
tent that goes over the back?
You can buy those. Yeah. So like they have these, our Prius is a hatchback.
Mm-hmm.
So they have this whole tent rig that will like attach. They've got several versions, but the kind that I like is sort of like, it's like a tent that sort of like makes a sitting area.
Nice. Yeah.
Then you can leave your hatchback up all night and you get a lot more leg room. It's easier to get in and out. So I haven't bought it yet, but if I bought anything that attaches to the car, that would be the one that I got. Cause like, I don't even know if I'd want to sleep in there, but it would be nice to like sit there and do Netflix and chill, right? In the evenings. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I've seen too. And I don't know if it's custom to the car type or whatever. It's gotta be, but there's like sleeping things they've got blow up ones. And then they've got just foam mats that are custom cut. So that they fit the back. Yeah.
I looked at the custom cut ones. I don't know if I'll go that route because I found the ones that are super cheap on Amazon and I think they'll fit.
Yeah. Well,
and
that
they
works.
pack up real easy. Right.
Yeah.
My thing is like go cheap first, and then if it doesn't work out, you can always upgrade from there.
Yeah. I've got a Subaru and I've been wanting to do, so there's so many fun, accoutrements that you can do with that, but we just take the truck and the trailer. But anyway, but my Subaru is my road trip car. I used to have a Ford Flex and I loved that.
Yeah.
But I live in downtown Dallas and somebody stole it from the front of my house. So I no longer have that. Took it on a joyride and totaled it.
Oh no.
Yeah, but the Subaru is great too. It's just doesn't have quite as much room as my as my old one, my Flex.
Well, the good thing about the Prius is it gets really good gas mileage.
Yeah, that's
so
great.
Even if we just end up going Airbnb or hoteling or whatever, right? We're not going to be spending, RV cost on gas.
Right. Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that. So I just finished up what I hope to be my last job, the end of April.
Oh,
so we've been doing this thing called financial independence, retire early.
Mm-hmm.
So that's basically just being thrifty, right?
Yeah.
And we don't have kids. So, and then I also have an Air Force retirement.
Yes.
And it turns out we were more or less doing that without knowing we were doing it before I figured it out. Right?
Yeah.
So it was during lockdown. It's funny. It's a good story. I asked my wife, because one of the key things is you need to know, like, dialed in how much you spend every year, right? And you can do the math on how much is enough, right, in the retirement pile. And I was struggling to figure it out. And I just asked her, I said, how much do we spend in a year? And she's like, what year? And I'm like, every year? And she's like, well, every year is a little different. How many years do you want to know? Right. And she came back and I went, well, the last 5 years. And she was like, okay. 15 minutes later or less, she came with a sticky.
Uh-huh.
Very exact numbers.
Very impressive.
She already knew. So we do division of labor when it comes to money. Yeah. So she does the checkbook and the credit card, and she is like an accountant, right? Mm-hmm. Every receipt. If there's not a receipt for it and I spent money, she's saying, what is this? Right?
You need somebody.
I know. And it's not me, and I can always justify it. It's not, like allgirls.com or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I have a real receipt. Here it is. Right? Yeah. And it's maybe not the best purchase ever, but here's the receipt. Right. So, but once I knew that number, everything got easy. I was like, okay, I can quit now. Right.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, you also, when you travel, a lot of times you spend less than you do at home.
Strangely enough. Yes.
Yeah. The year we were gone, we obviously didn't make any money, and but we spent a fraction of what, the whole trip ended up costing us between the two of us $70,000.
That's not bad.
That sounds like a lot, but
$70,000 each, or both of you?
No, total.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's not
bad. No, it wasn't.
For a year on the road.
Yeah. Now it would be more, of course, traveling around the US or other places, but, but anyway, the point is you can do it. So,
right. So let me ask you this before we're getting ready to wrap up. So let's talk real quick before I ask my last question. So you are Chrissy, and you're at destinedglobetrotter.com. So talk a little bit about how people can best get in touch with Chrissy.
Sure. So I have the website. It's HTTPS www.destinedglobetrotter.com. I'm also on Instagram at destined_globetrotter. So Destined is, I spelled it out. It's DESTINED. And then I also have a Facebook page. And so it's just /Destined Globetrotter, all one word.
Got it. Perfect. So what was I going to ask? I was going to ask one more. Now I'm blanking. Damn it. Oh, right. What did you do with your house when you were gone for a year?
We hadn't bought it yet, so we waited. We were in an apartment, and then when we got back, that was the first thing we did is we shopped for a house.
Oh, so you just didn't even pay rent or anything for that whole year?
Yeah. No, the only thing we had was a storage unit.
Nice. Smart.
So, so that was really nice. And then the market was like a great time to buy, and this was right 2008. Everything,
Yeah, crash. Right.
And so
perfect.
We were actually able to buy. We live in a historic district, a house that we could not afford, now, or would have taken us a long time to get to it. We were able to get to it sooner. So we've been in the same place for 15 years, and
good for you. Yeah, so you're not planning to sell the house and travel full time? It's
Not
okay.
Really. I actually tried to talk my kids into it. My daughter's going into middle school, and I'm like, man, middle school sucks. I was like, wouldn't you rather like travel
Just
around the
travel
world?
on the road and we'll homeschool you.
Yeah, but I quickly learned like I could do it with my son. My daughter, I can't teach her anything, so that would just not work.
Not
But
work.
yeah, but I am a big believer in they call it world schooling, which is basically homeschooling on the road and stuff. And I love it. It's just probably not for our particular family, but
I get it.
it.
No, there's a lot of people that want to do that, and bless them. If you've got two people and you can make it work, I think it would be awesome. I don't know if it would work for me. I honestly don't know. I was the one willing to give it a try, but my wife, she likes doing like selling stuff on eBay. So,
Yeah.
so that if that's what you want to do, you need a place to put stuff.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and we've already factored in the mortgage and all the house bills, so we can travel and keep the house, so it's all good.
Well, I'll tell you what, the things that I wasn't able to do before the pandemic, like with my job, just because while IBM was very much, they've always been people working independently and working from home and stuff like that. Clients weren't really ready for that. But I think, the world's changed a lot because of the pandemic, and there's a lot, it's an exciting time, and you can do all that stuff remotely. And so, so
you
I think
totally work from the road now. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So
there's a lot of people doing that.
And you always could, or not always, but you've been able to do it for a long time, longer than people realize.
Right.
But
it's easier now.
To fruition.
Yeah. It's a lot easier. Yeah. People just businesses are more open to just working with you,
Yeah.
Right.
As long as people don't muck it up. I'm afraid like all this quiet quitting and stuff. I'm like, come on, people, you stay to work so we can all still work remotely.
No, it'll get dialed back. I mean, it will, but I think, the jig is up, right? The companies that like are hard on, you must be in the office, they'll, that won't last forever either, because people will just stop working there.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this has been a blast. Maybe we should do it some more, come back anytime, wait at least 6 months or a year, and we can catch up on each other's travels. Maybe you'll get to Japan.
That'd be great.
Yeah. All right, Chrissy. I was going to call you Christina again. You have a good one.
Thank you, Jeff. I
All right.
appreciate the time. It was lots of fun.
All right. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for taking the time to ride along with us on another episode of Vroom Vroom Veer. For podcast info and show notes, be sure to head over to vvveer.com. That's VVER.com. Man, that's fun to say. And we'll catch up with you next time here on Vroom Vroom Veer.